Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone. How you doing tonight?
Welcome. Glad to see everybody here.
Like to thank everyone for coming.
Definitely. So, tonight we've got a speaker. This is Twisted Heart, and a friend of mine for a while now. And her name is Jamie.
Hello.
We're going to be talking about um, house spirits. And then, of course, we've got Frogzilla over there. Jamie's down
Mhm.
here. Um, Frog, after Jamie gets done, he's going to tell us a little bit about why spirits are stuck here and tell a couple more ghost stories. So, tonight we're talking about house spirits or brownies, the fairy kind, not the edibles. Ha ha ha. I know, knee slapper. Sorry. So,
Sometimes you can't help yourself.
I can't sometimes. But that's because, this right here, Frogzilla, he did it to me.
That's it. Blame it on me.
Of
That's all right.
course.
I'm tough. I can take it.
So, house spirits are basically these are spiritual beings that protect and care for homes and families in many mythologies and religions. They're often depicted as deities or spirits that take on human form. And house spirits date back to 1584 in their writings and publications, including even mentions in the Bible. These household gods were apparently a collection of small, commonly used idols. These are referred to in the original Hebrew using the word teraphim and are mentioned in Genesis 31:19. And similar objects are referred to in Judges 17:5 and 2 Kings 23:24. House spirits are named across the world and throughout history. The Scottish and English house spirit is called the brownie or hob, kobold in Germany, teraphim in Hebrew. And some of the things that are common between the different countries and mythologies and religions are that these house spirits have traits where they're often thought to be clean and tidy. They're sometimes thanked with an offering of milk, bread, cake, honey, thimble of whiskey. And they're sometimes associated with witches, fairies, and night flying spirits. And they're sometimes believed to be able to foresee the future. It's also said in many of the mythologies that in the offerings that you never give a piece of clothing. If you give cloth, fabric, or clothing, they'll leave. And you just won't see them again. But a lot of times they come out at night to do things while you're asleep. If you don't give them their offerings, they turn into little mean spirits or ones that like to play and prank, and they'll take things and hide them from you. And then you'll come back and it'll be, days later, weeks later, and you'll find what you were missing right in the place where you've been looking. So it's been kind of really interesting. Everybody in the chat's just pretty much saying hello. Roland's with T-Bone, thank you for coming in. He's still at work, but wanted to say hello.
Hey,
Um,
T-Bone.
and hello to the ones who unsubbed too. I think you're all right, T-Bone. We didn't unsub. And exactly, Rob. Don't get the fairies mad. They will definitely hide things. Hi, Carrie. Thanks for coming in. Hi, Tater. It's good seeing everybody. So now I'm going to turn it over to Jamie, and she's going to tell us about her house brownies and house spirits. And then I have a picture to show. So go ahead.
Did you throw the picture of Spike up there?
I will.
Thank you. So,
Like,
yeah, well, it's really the only name that suits him.
yeah.
He's beautifully weird, weirdly beautiful. He's got almost neon green hair that sticks up right on the top of his head and almost looks feathery. And his skin is this almost cafe au lait color. It's a really light brown, like almost like sand. And his eyes are neon green and are way too big for his face. And when he smiles, you can see tiny little fangs, which you would think would be terrifying. But the first time I remember seeing him, I think I was 5 or 6, and I was intrigued. But he's been with me, for a really, really, really long time. And I'm a pagan, so to me, he falls under the category of what's called the Fae. And if you want to get really technical, he would be a Seelie, Seelie Fae. As Lolly was saying, they tend to come out predominantly at night, and they do chores around the house. Some things you'll notice, some things you won't. But he's tiny. Every time I've seen him, he was tiny, like maybe 4 or 5 inches tall. When he gets irritated with me because I'm not leaving out offerings, and the offerings I've found that he likes is bread with honey drizzled on it, he will steal stones out of my rings. He'll move things. He's tied my hair in knots. He's tied my shoelaces in knots. But another cool thing that he does, though, is he gets rid of stuff that annoys me, like insects.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. And he'll also find things that I've lost for me when, he's happy. More often than not, if you have one, you won't know. It's just because they're shy. They're the hidden folk. They're called that for, a reason. You may sometimes see something out of the corner of your eye. They like to dart. They're tricky sometimes. But and they tend to adopt you. You don't choose them. But am I talking too fast?
No, you're fine.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Some basic rules if you are adopted by a brownie: do not ever, 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 ever say thank you. Because that implies now that you owe them a debt, and you don't want to owe the Fae anything. That's why leaving an offering out is a good substitute. And you'll figure out what they like. Start off with just little bits of, just a little piece of bread, or like Lolly was saying, a piece of cake. Some of them like liquor, some of them not so much. And gifts are traditionally left on your hearth, which in our modern world is like our stoves, because that's the heart of the home, is usually the kitchen. And don't try to trap them. They don't like it, and an angry Fae is a dangerous Fae. And I promise they can absolutely and will screw your life all up if you do something like that. For the most part, they're fun-loving and very giving, and the brownies are. I'll put it that way. But yeah, one of my favorite memories of Spike was when I was living in Louisiana and I hadn't left his offering out for like a week. Life got in the way. And he stole the emerald out of my engagement ring. And I didn't notice it for I don't know how long. It had to have been a couple weeks. And I looked down and I thought, well, that's it. I've totally lost my ring. And that night I was like, well, I'll just ask him. So I put out a little bit of bread with a little bit of honey, and he didn't eat it. He stuffed my stone down into the honey. So, yeah, he was unhappy. Unhappy with me. But yeah, that's pretty much my story. One of my favorite story about Spike. They tend to love kids and they love animals. So, if you have animals, especially in the house, odds are going to be pretty good that you will end up with a brownie.
What other type of fae or house spirits have you come across? Any?
Have you ever seen a mushroom circle
Yes.
out in your yard? Yeah, that will bring fairies to you. They love that. They will dance, and the best time to see it is on a full moon. I love mythology and I love history, and Ireland and Scotland are two of my favorite places. So I've learned a lot about the Seelie and the Unseelie, the so-called dark and light fae, and everything that falls under the category of fae is either Seelie or Unseelie. And me personally, I don't believe that one is good and one is evil. I think that they are the manifestation of nature in and of itself, and nature is not good or evil. It's just nature. It's beautiful and scary sometimes, and dark and bright, and yeah. And from everything I've learned, they literally are the manifestation of nature.
That's awesome. Um, does anybody have any questions in the chat or anything that they would like to share or bring up?
You've seen them in the daylight? That's awesome.
What do you say when you tell a story or share something you've seen? What is your response if they come back? They haven't seen them, so they don't believe in it.
You don't see oxygen either, do you? I mean, to me, it's really logical. You can't see oxygen, you're breathing it. And just because you can't see it, taste it, touch it, or smell it doesn't mean it's not there. I can't see quark, but they exist. I've never seen a proton, but it exists.
True. I agree. I've always thought that with different types of the lore mythology and the animals and like you said, the fae and things of that nature, it's always been, I don't have to see it to know it's true or to know that it was there at least at one point.
Well, I think a lot of that too comes from listening to your instinct. What does your gut tell you? I mean, and having that wonderment that you had as a kid, holding on to some of that, and do they exist? Can I prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt? No, but I can tell you what my gut says. My instincts say, yeah, very much so.
Well, we were walking out back in our woods. We've got, woods on part of our acreage. And I forget. Frog, were we going hunting or were we looking for something? Do
No,
you
we just
remember?
went back there. Yeah,
We were
I
just
remember
walking.
we just walked back there.
Well, we were
Nothing in
walking back
particular.
in the woods, and I was taking pictures of this, that, and the other, and just kind of flipping it around and doing the pictures to see what we'd get or to see if we could find anything. And when we come back in and we're looking at them, I noticed this. And this is my wood fairy. Because
Creepy.
when we went back by and found this tree, this was not there. It's no longer there. So this is when I said, yep, brownies are real. We had one.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I've seen too much stuff. I'm 51 and I have seen way too much stuff throughout my life to say no, there's no way that exists just because I haven't seen it or experienced it.
Yeah, it was really shocking. And once we seen the picture and we went back out and was looking around, it just was, it's not there. The figure that is in that hole is no longer there. So it was really an all moment, I guess, for me.
And it depends on which hand you're talking about. But yeah. Yeah, I could tell you. I'll have to see a picture, but yeah. And that's awesome, someone who's got pictures because it's really rare to catch the Fae in photograph. They tend to show up as orbs if they show up at all. Which, if you've done any ghost hunting or anything like that, you know that orbs can be spirits. Not always. Sometimes it's a fairy.
Yeah, it's hard to know when you just dabble a little bit in it. It's hard to really get a handle on all of it when you've had it that sixth sense all your life. It's a little, I think, and accepted it. If you've accepted it, it's a little easier to learn how to figure things out and maybe get an idea of what you're looking at or communicating with. But when you're just starting or just learning, I think sometimes it can be very confusing and a lot of information or a lot of overload, sense overload.
Oh, absolutely. I think a key thing is remembering how curious you were as a kid and maintaining that curiosity and open-mindedness. Because when I was a child, one of the ways my dad kept me from getting out of bed in the middle of the night was to tell me that there was a monster under my bed that snatched my feet if I tried to get up. And I will not lie, I am 51 and to this day my feet do not hang off the bed or nor are they uncovered. Ever.
That's
Ever.
funny.
I used to think about that. My youngest son, with his little sixth sense that he has, when I remember when he was young, his nightmare was the floor was lava. And he would get so worried when I would come in and check on him at night because he'd tell me that the floor was gonna swallow me up or burn me because it was lava.
Oh.
And yeah, American Uncensored, there's some, I mean, I don't want to say that people like that aren't serious because some of them are. And some of the things they do or have is real. And or they at least believe it is. So, but you got to be careful. There's a lot of people out there that take it very far.
Well, there's some basis in the mythology with the Fae that they love humans because they tend to themselves be tall, willowy, very thin, built more like swimmers, so to speak. And humanity appeals to them because we come in all different shapes, sizes, and colors. And our shape can change. You know, you could one day weigh 250 pounds, go on a diet, exercise, and the next thing you know, you weigh 160. And they find humans fascinating for that, and because our lifespan is so short. So, according to some mythology, they will mate with humans and produce children. So, I don't discount someone completely if they say they're Fae, but you know, I'm also like the state of Missouri. You got to show me, kind of thing.
I don't want to see that. I do not want to see that. I'm going on record right now.
That's that sense overload.
It very well could be, but you know, I'm a curious sort. I like to know things. I want to see it all.
Yeah, I'm that way. Show me, show me. Even though
Yes, she
sometimes
is. She
you
drives me nuts sometimes.
can't.
I think that's why we became such good friends, Lolly, is because we were both the same way like that. It's like, oh, really? You saw that? Well, can you show me where you saw it and what exactly you saw?
Right. It's not just the story. I want pictures. I want to see, or I want to be there. And um, I know I've mentioned before a little bit about empath um, people and learning when I learned that I truly was an empath. And Jamie, our Twisted Heart, was the one that was with me when that happened.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing experience, to say the least. At least to me, it was.
It's eye opening.
It is. It really, when you can put a finger on it, and this is what it was, and this is when it was. That to me was proof to a lot of things that I'd been through throughout my life. It was like, oh, now I get it. Now I understand.
Yeah, a lot of stuff starts making sense when you have that kind of epiphany. And the more you learn, the more you can sit back and look at your life and go, yep, that's what that was. Absolutely 100%.
Do you have anything else you want to share? That any more other experiences or?
Um, I have a friend and she's a Wiccan, and she told me that when her daughter, who is, I think she's 20, 21 now, but when her daughter was little, she come running into her mama's room, woke her up, and she had something, her hands clapped over them each other. You know how kids will hide something in their hands. And
Yep.
she was so excited and woke Bex up screaming, "It's a fairy, it's a fairy, it's a fairy." And you know, if you're a parent having your child wake you up in the middle of the night screaming, your first thought is not everything is good. So she jerks up out of bed and accidentally hits her daughter's hand. And this, she said, the only way to describe it was like a spotlight shot straight into her face. And she heard this high pitched scream, and then it went poof and was gone. So, she started doing a lot of research, like what in the world could that possibly be? And she believes it was a fairy that her daughter had somehow caught. And Logan would tell her that her hair was always in knots because of the hair fairies, and that she finally caught one of the hair fairies.
That's awesome. I think the thing we do too sometimes with kids is we close them out. No, it's not real. No, that can't be. No, you didn't see that. It's always no, no, no. And
Yep.
I hate that. It's, kids are the ones that are open. They're the ones that would be able to have that ability and see these things, but we close it off so quick and teach them not to be open.
Yeah, I really tried with my youngest not to do that. I mean, if Bean told me there was a monster under her bed, then I went and got the Monster Be Gone spray. And
Yeah.
to the outside, I looked probably like an idiot, jumping around the room, spraying under the bed and in the closet behind the dresser. But I always wanted her to maintain that innocence and that open mindedness.
I wanted that for my kids. It was difficult because I know some people see it as a curse and don't want their children to have that ability. Have you seen that with people that you know?
Yeah, and I don't agree with it. I don't agree with doing that. You're given gifts and talents for a reason. So, they should be cultivated and appreciated.
I agree with that. Um,
That's why nobody believes.
yeah. Do you know, Fried Tater's asking, Jamie, do you know about palm reading?
I do a little bit. I lean more toward tarot than palm reading, but yeah, I do know some about it.
What are some things that you've experienced being pagan, or can you explain? Um, I know some of the people we have are Christian, some are pagan. Um, I agree, Rob. Being closed minded isn't good, skeptical is the best. Then there's the personal experiences. What can you explain a little bit about what you see as the difference?
For I I got into paganism when I was about 17 because I had a lot of questions, and like I said, I'm the curious sort. I want to know everything about everything there is to know. And I decided that as a young child, I would never tell my children something didn't exist. My first experience with a spirit, I was 4, and I remember it vividly. Laying in my bed, and there was a body between me and the wall, a man dressed in a flannel shirt and jeans, but he was facing the wall, and I knew I did not want to see his face. And I screamed, and my parents come running in there, and I'm like, the man, the man. And of course my dad looks out the window. What man? The man there. And I was pointing to this man that they couldn't see. Nobody saw it but me. And they were kind of irritated. There's nothing there. There there's nobody there. Well, yeah, to me there absolutely was. So even at that age, it was kind of a, I don't know how you describe it. like fleeting thought was I would never say that to somebody. So when I had Bean, I absolutely encouraged her anytime she told me, I saw this or I heard that or I felt this, I 100% believed her. And I think that's something that as parents and grandparents that we really need to do is to encourage that, to keep the kids open-minded.
I agree with that. I tried to do that with my boys. You see how Charlie turned out.
I love that little girl spirit follows him. You have no idea how much that delights me.
Yep. I tell you. Rob asked, do you do any pendulum work?
Yes. Yes, I have a small collection of pendulums and I love those things.
Yep. I was trying to think. I have mine up here. You can talk a little bit about the pendulum work that you do and what it's for.
When I have a lot of time on my hands to do a tarot reading, I will actually pull tarot cards using a pendulum. And what's really cool to me, this is what I believe, that's not written in stone, it's just my experience, my belief. Pendulums and tarot are based on what's called an autonomic nervous response. You already know all the answers to your questions. It's just tapping into that knowledge. And a pendulum and tarot can help you do that. So, and plus it's a lot of fun to learn about tarot and stuff. You can use pendulums to find water. People have used them to find gemstones, gold, silver, stuff like that. They answer yes or no questions. But yeah, there's a lot of different, and it depends on the stone you use, that kind of stuff too.
Yeah. And the oils
Yes.
or herbs. This one is open. So you can use the oils and herbs to assist. And that's
Yeah,
really
I have the one that you got me. I think it was for my birthday a few years ago. That is silver, and you can take the top off of it and put stuff in it.
Yep. Good. I'm glad you still got it.
Oh yeah. What experiences have you had with the Fae and whatnot?
Our biggest experience, I think, for me is when things go missing. We joke about it because we're getting older and everybody's, oh, you just got old syndrome or whatever. And CRS, can't remember. And I'm like, no, there are certain things that this is what we do. This is where we put it every time. And it's just gone. There was no reason for it to be gone. We've looked everywhere for it and it's just not there and anywhere around there. And then we turn around and it's a week or two. Sometimes it's even been a month. And we'll be sitting somewhere or doing something. And if we set it on the table next to us, next to our chairs, then it would be back. Or it'll be back up on the island or something. And it's like, okay, I give up.
Yeah. That happens a lot around here.
Yeah, I think if you live close to a ley line too, they tend to be more active and around.
Yeah, and I still hadn't looked into that, I think. Frog, do you know what the ley lines are around here?
No.
Okay. I gotta look that up. I forget. You'll have to remind me.
Yeah, I think there's actually a map that if you can find on Google that shows all the ley lines, which kind of looks like a spider web to me, but they tend to
Uh-huh.
be rooted in places with um, a lot of water.
Yeah, with the
Um,
creek and the caves, I think we probably do have
yeah.
here.
Well, and if you also look at like major big churches and political buildings and things like that, you can just about guarantee there's a ley line or a convergence of ley lines there. People are drawn to it because it's power.
Yeah.
Why is that wild, taters? I really think that's why they called the internet the World Wide Web, is because of ley lines and how they look.
Yeah, that could be. It's like a web.
Yep.
It's a wicked web. Well, thank you for coming on and sharing stories and taking some time with us. I really appreciate it. It's been great
Absolutely. This
talking
was
with
a lot
you
of fun.
about it. And I may try to get you back on again sometime here in the future. See if we can get, if anybody had any questions or sends us anything in the email, then I'll definitely reach back out to you.
All right.
And you're welcome to stay to finish it out if you want to. I'm not trying to rush you off. I
Oh,
was
I
going to
know.
let Frog tell us why spirits are stuck here and another ghost story.
Heck yeah.
It wasn't that the question was that I knew the answer. It was a question to everyone. Why do you think spirits get stuck here? Is it unfinished business? Is it like what we talked about before? All the emotions that happen in one place and people just get stuck there because they never got over that emotion.
Rob says he's going to rewatch and write some questions down. He's been busy. Thank you, Rob. I'd appreciate it.
Thank you,
On
Shadow.
the ticker there at the on the bottom of the screen, it has our email address for the mystical themes. If you want to send us a story or questions or just want to reach out, you can use that email address. It's mysticalthemesyt@gmail.com. And oh, Jamie had to go ahead and leave.
Thank you, James.
I was going to ask her what she thought of the spirits, but I guess she had to take off.
She had enough of us.
Well, it shows we have 8 that's still listening. You want to go ahead and tell your ghost story? Oh, Rob said he's pagan. You want to tell your ghost story and we'll wait and see if anybody wants to ask a question or share an opinion on why spirits are stuck here.
Okay. Yeah. Like on the last ghost story I told, this is the same house. And one of the places I told you about Miss Eve. And it wasn't just Miss Eve in this house. There was a old man that apparently passed away. He From what I could get, he lived apparently in that house his whole life until he passed away. And the most place you would ever see him is in the bathroom, especially, after about 10 o'clock. For some reason, between 10 and 1 o'clock, you really didn't want to go to the bathroom because he was always in there. Every time I walked in there, I'd see him, and it just scared the hell out of me. And I was only in kindergarten, maybe first grade when he was doing that. But you wouldn't just see him. I guess he was a fisherman, and it sometimes at night it would sound like there was fish flopping around in the tub. And back in those days, it was common for people to fish down to the river, bring it home, throw it in the tub, clean it there, so it all get washed down. And you would, and I know this sound. I fished my whole life, and you would literally hear fish flopping, and you'd have to get up and look, see what was going on. Even my mother heard it because she thought it was an animal in the bathroom. But he was a very serious man, and his second favorite place to be is at the dinner table while you're eating. A lot of times we'd all see him sitting at the table before we sat down at the table, back when families ate together and sat and prayed and ate, and forks and the knives was all in their proper place. You didn't have your elbows on the table. But he never was a bothersome ghost, but he would just be there and scare the crap out of you, especially at a young age. Like like she was speaking on earlier, my mom didn't believe that I could see and hear some of the stuff that I was telling her until I described Miss Eve to a T, even her shoes, because her shoes were special too and stuck out. And then she started believing me because, she heard things and saw things too. I mean, you couldn't deny it. My sister, it was 3 years older than I was, and she saw it. My grandpa saw it. He knew his name, and I can't remember what his name is. That's been so long ago. I wish I could remember, but I can't. And like I said, he was never bothersome, but he was always there. You come around a corner, and he'd be sitting at the table, and the head of the table was at the entrance to that area. So he was right there in the chair as soon as you came through the doorway. And you'd be like, what the heck? And by that time, he's gone. He wore plaid and suspenders all the time, and a hat, one of them round hats, just with the short bill that they wore back in the 50s and 60s. The old men did.
Like a fedora?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I don't know the names of hats. Are you hitting the comment?
Yep.
I don't believe you.
That was the last one. We haven't had a lot of comments tonight.
All right. That when we moved out of that house, we knew the people that moved into that house, and they was a very religious, like super religious family. And they said, there was like 9 kids of them. And they had all said that as soon as they had moved in, they had to bless the house to try to get everything that was in that house out. So it wasn't just us that saw it. You know, these were people in our little town. Everybody was so small. Everybody knew everybody. So we knew these people before they even moved in. And we didn't move far, so we were still just down the block when we did move. Matter of fact, we didn't even use vehicles to move. We just carried it down the street.
Made it easy.
Yeah. Go from one
Well, we
end of Beeler Street to the other end of Beeler Street. And there used to be a little back apartment on there. And that guy, he was a big, tough Harley rider. He actually killed somebody, ended up killing somebody, but that's not the point. It used to scare him because he used to smoke out. There was a little, probably 10-foot back porch, covered back porch, aluminum, and he had to smoke out there. And he was always out there smoking. And we'd asked him, we said, "Did you see stuff back here?" And me being a little kid, he was like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Do you see black things? Do you see people?" I said, "Do you see ghosts?" And he looked at me like, what is this little kid talking about? And then he thought about it and he's like, "Yeah, I see him. Do you all see him?" I said, "Ask my sister." I said, "Ask my mom." I said, "I just wondered if it was just in the front of the house or did it go all the way back here?" And I asked him what he saw, and he basically said he saw the old man. He said the old man will go out the back door. He he thinks somebody was standing at the door wanting in, and he'd get up and go to the door, and there wasn't nobody ever there because it was the old man coming in and out of the door, the back door. Because out back there used to be a garden and then a garage. Half his yard was a garden. So apparently, he was a busybody. So he was going in and out the house, tending his garden. That's why he come down, sat down for dinner. And that is when he was relaxing, he was going fishing and bringing fish in the house. So I just thought it was all funny once I got older because I didn't get it, all that when I was younger. But now that I'm older, I'm like, that's all he was doing. He was just continuing living his life right there because that's where he was happy. Because he was, he wasn't angry. So that's what leads me to believe that there's so many different reasons why a spirit can get stuck here. Sometimes they just want to be here. Sometimes they don't want to be here. Feel like
I think
some are made to be here.
some are just lost.
Yeah.
They're not ready to move on or head out for that next journey. So they're going to stick around. But it's about 8:48. We got about 10 more minutes to make it to an hour. If anybody's got anything they want to share, or guess we can put the link out and see if anybody wants to join. Of course, I have to find it.
Don't ask me. I'm technology challenged. I'm just here to look pretty. We all believe it. Follow it, don't we?
Unfinished
Say hi to
business, Ralph says. Evil. Nothing he can type in the chat. We'll have to teach.
What is he saying? He's speechless.
We'll have to teach Tater how to get on. Oh, you're getting them.
Yep.
Yeah, Rob's Unfinished Business. There's the link if anybody wants to come in and tell a quick story or just join us and chat.
Anybody have any suggestions on a new show?
Oh, Rob got his stickers. You're welcome.
You're welcome, Shadow. Now you can be cool again because you got cool stickers.
Got any other ghosty stories, or what about dreams? I know, and this may be a topic we hit on for a full show coming in the future, but I know that in growing up there were I would have dreams when someone would pass away. It'd be like a week later, and every single time, if they were close to me, I would have the same dream. So I always knew that somebody was going to pass. Did you ever experience that?
Yep. I would get him in a deja vu like scenario. But yeah, that they would come to me in my dreams, especially my grandparents. I always knew any of my close family, which is actually a lot of people. My mom had 12 brothers and sisters, and I had a crap load of cousins. But in my
Page.
pap, my grandpa, he was born in 1902, so he had kids from 60 to 20. With my mom being the youngest. No, I'm sorry, I take that back. I got an uncle younger than her. But just about every one of them, when they passed, I knew. I usually knew like the day before.
Mine was
And
usually a
then,
week.
and then usually that far ahead, but
Yeah, it used to drive me crazy because I knew what the dream was, but I never knew who it was going to be.
I knew who it was going to be.
Yeah, mine never told me
I
that.
would. It would. What's up, Robbie?
Hey, Rod.
The dang fangled, huh? And I lost my train of thought. Brain fart.
Yeah, it's been a slow night. We've not had much. Tater's been helping us in the comments there.
Yeah.
And Tater, you were talking about Bigfoot and Dogman, and I'm sure we'll hit on those as well coming up in the future. But I don't think I've got much more tonight.
No.
What do you think for next week? Just whatever happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody's volunteering to come on.
We
They
got
could
to
at least
teach.
send us some emails.
We got to teach Tater how to get on. Hopefully, we'll get her set up here. He said she can come on next week. I know she's got bunches of stories.
Yep.
She'll keep us in stories for the next 3 weeks. All
He's
right,
mad,
guys.
ain't he?
Yeah, he's ready. I have to let him out. Well, thank you, everybody that stuck around and came in to support and join the conversation. And
Yep. Thanks everyone for your support. We greatly appreciate it.
we'll try to get some more content for next week and see how we go. Maybe put out some more notices. But peace out, guys. Thank you.
Peace. Love y'all. Bye.